Hi, Blake with BlvdHome. We're going to talk about features that everybody has on their appliances that people don't use, but everybody has them. These are just kind of common sense things. And you know, the world today, sometimes we have a lot of common sense because we get so ingrained in doing things. It becomes a habit to do things. So you walk up and you always press the same buttons and do the same thing. And you say, I really hate this appliance because it's not working like it should. So this appliance is a piece of junk. I got to go buy something new so I can put something new in there, and figure out that that doesn't work either because you're doing the same things over and over again. I can't tell you how many times I've been to people's homes and we've talked about appliances and you're saying, well, you could use this button here, and they're like, oh, I don't know. I've never used that button there. What does that button do? Have you used use and carry manual? No. So let's move on from that subject and let's talk about features that you actually have on your appliances that you should be using that are always there, but you're not using. Let's start out with dishwashers. Everybody has cycles. Now let that sink in for just a second. Everybody has cycles on their machine. It's not just normal, it's not just light. You have auto and you have heavy and you have pots and pans and you have rinse only sometimes. But all these cycles should be taken to your advantage because not everybody washes their dishes the same way. If you're rinsing your dishes off perfectly clean and you're putting them into the machine, you don't need to be using a normal cycle. You could be using a fast cycle if you have it, or a quick wash, because you've already cleaned the thing. You think that this is my favorite thing that I hear from everybody, and it cracks me up every time, but I don't say anything. I just kind of nod and say, mm-hmm. I put them in there to sanitize my dishes. All right, do you select the sanitize cycle? No. Well, then how are you sanitizing your dishes? You've already washed them. You've already washed them with soap and water in your sink and put them in the dishwasher. But I'm sanitizing them. You have buttons like sanitize. If you want to sanitize, make sure you select the sanitize button. Now, I don't think it's necessary to do every time, but it's on pretty much every dishwasher on the market. You have a sanitize button, or you have a high temperature wash or high temperature boost, or whatever that manufacturer wants to call it to be different from the other manufacturer. Everybody has it. If that's your purpose of having this dishwasher, make sure you select that button in correspondence with the cycle you want to run. But in reality, you're really defeating the purpose of a dishwasher if you're washing them before you're putting them in the dishwasher. And I know that there are people that don't put a whole lot of dishes in there. Like, I'm an empty nester now. I don't have kids, I don't have a million dishes, and yeah, I put stuff in my dishwasher. Yeah, I rinse off the big stuff and put the other stuff in there. People say, well, gosh, I don't want it stinking and smelling for days. Well, I get it. If you want to rinse them off, just use a shorter cycle. You don't need to be using everything else because you've already washed them. Basically, you're just going in there, having the dishwasher run some more hot water over it, make sure the water is actually hot enough to actually rinse it off. And that's the main purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. But if you're putting stuff in there that are baked on stuff, you're putting stuff in there that is really grimy and greasy, like you had a big pot of chili sitting there and you just taking that big pot and you're throwing it in the dishwasher because you don't want to wash it in the sink, because who wants to wash the pot of chili in the sink after it's done? Nobody, you know. So you're going to rinse out the big stuff, put it in there. You select your heavy duty cycle, select your other cycles that are going to effectively wash this product. Don't expect the normal cycle to clean something like that. That's where the problem comes in, because everybody says, oh yeah, you just press a normal cycle and go. And you get it done, you're like, oh, I didn't clean this thing, I gotta go buy a new one. Honey, this thing doesn't work. Call the repair guy, because this is under warranty, right? You gotta come out there and tell me why it's not washing. Well, the reason it's not washing is because you're not using the proper cycles. So just remember, there are various cycles on a dishwasher and they're there for a purpose. And when I just made that statement, that is true for any appliance, washer, dryer, dishwasher, anything that has cycles on there that you're trying to accomplish something, that task you're trying to accomplish, you have to use the proper cycle for that purpose. That is the biggest thing on dishwashers. Use the cycles, use the things that are available to you. Use your sanitize. If you want to actually sanitize it, or your high temperature boost, select those cycles. Then it will actually do what you want it to do. Don't expect it to do it on its own. I know salespeople, and I know I work for a retail store, and the salespeople are gonna, probably slash my tires when they hear this, but the truth is, they're salespeople. They know what there is to sell the appliance. They're going to tell you all the features of it. They're going to tell you everything else about it. But it's up to you to look at your use and carry manual and to realize what the functionality is of this appliance and what you can actually do with it. Because they'll tell you that it'll probably, you know, make your eggs for you and clean them too, but it doesn't mean that it's actually going to do that. So just be aware of that, because that's true with any salesperson. So again, I love you salespeople. You make my job great because you sell the appliances for me to fix. Love you all, but still. Anyhow, dryers. I've got a story to tell you. This happened actually yesterday. So this is kind of fresh on my mind, fresh on my annoyance factor. I had a guest that had a problem with her dryer. Now, the problem she had with her dryer, and she called in and says, the dryer's not drying. Now, I got the same call at this house about 3 weeks ago that it's not drying. We're gonna leave out the manufacturer because it doesn't matter, because it would have happened the same way with any manufacturer. So when I got out to her house the first time, the complaint was it's not drying. So I check it all and everything's heating fine, everything's working fine. And their complaint was when I put a big load of towels or something in there, that everything is coming out dry except for one item or an edge of an item. Okay, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to fix that, because everything else is drying, but this was her complaint. So went through, checked the machine, checked the airflow, checked all the things I normally check, make sure it's heating to temperature, make sure that the lint filter's clean, scrubbed it out, made sure the sensors were clean, cleaned them off, all those things that you're supposed to do, just normal maintenance anyway. Did all those things and checked, and I said, okay, well, go ahead and use it. If you're using the automatic setting, because the automatic settings, that's most of your settings on your dryer. When you actually look at your dryer, you'll see where it has the auto sensing settings, and you'll have the manual settings. Now the manual settings, if you set a time for something, it's going to run for that many minutes. You set it for 30 minutes, it's going to run for 30 minutes. On the auto settings, you set it, you turn it on, it says there's 39 minutes on there. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to run for 39 minutes. That means it's going to run until the sensor says it's dry and then turn off. I said, well, you could change your dryer sensing. So instead of sensing it from normal dryness, you move it up to a heavier dryness. And I said you could also change your cycles. A couple weeks rolled by, she called back, said it's still not drying. I went out there yesterday morning to take a look at her dryer, and she had a load of laundry in ready for me to check when I got there. And it finished just barely before I got there. So the edges of some of her towels were damp. Everything in there was pretty much dry except for a couple things. She's upset because she wants me to fix it because everything's not dry. I said to her, well, what setting are you using? Well, I set it for the normal setting. Well, looking at the dial, there is a towels setting on there. Now, when you put it to the normal setting, it has a starting point of 39 minutes for the auto cycle, okay? For what they call normal sensing, and then it puts it at medium heat. I explained to her that you're running it the wrong way. And she's like, well, it should work this way. I've always done it this way. I put it on normal, press go, it does it, okay? When I grabbed it and I turned it to the towel setting, the time started at 55 minutes. It went up to high heat and it went to more dry setting. Well, what's that going to do for me? It's going to make sure your towels are dry. That's what it's going to do for you. So it's not necessarily the appliance that's broken, and everybody has these cycles and have these features. Make sure that you're using the proper features for what you're trying to accomplish with this appliance. Just because I want to run a marathon, I can't go out 5 days before and start running around the block and expect myself to run a marathon. Same thing with the appliance. Just because you want the appliance to work this way doesn't mean it's going to work this way unless you train it or teach yourself to set the right settings to make it accomplish what you want it to accomplish. I encourage you to use the automatic setting because it's going to not over dry your clothes, but you have to select the proper cycle for it. So those are useful features, and on the dryer, just make sure you use the proper cycle for it and you'll get it to work the way you want it to work. Now, washing machines. Almost every washing machine nowadays has a remote start, or it has a delay start, or it could have both. So these are features that are very useful, especially if you have power on demand. You want to run it off of peak hours, so run later in the night. Like, you know, you're going to bed, you want it to run 11 o'clock at night, so you save power, and so you cost you less overall in a month. Don't be blind to all the other features that possibly are on your washing machine, because they can do quite a few things as long as you make sure that you understand what the cycles do for you. I have done other features that have kind of gone deep dive into some of the features on the washing machine, so check that out in our video section, and you can get some more information on these different cycles. One thing about the cycles on your washing machine too, if you're not using the proper cycles for the proper load type or the amount of load that's in there. So say you put a big old blanket in there and you put it on the normal eco cycle, it only fills up with this much water and the blanket's taking up this much of the tub. Well, yeah, you're going to do damage to the machine because basically you're trying to turn this heavy blanket in this machine and you can cause things to break. So it is important to actually have the proper cycle set for the proper load size you're possibly putting in the machine. So definitely use the cycles because they are there and all these cycles are useful. Just make sure you're using the proper cycle for what you're wanting to accomplish with the washing machine. Let's move on to microwaves. Now, a feature that everybody has, but I bet most of you don't know how to do it because you just throw your stuff in there and I'm gonna reheat this for 1 minute and go. There is a power setting on there. I know, amazing concept. There is a power button. You can adjust the power of what is cooking. It is probably the least used button on that microwave. I'll be straight up honest with you, hardly anybody ever changes the cook power. My wife doesn't change the cook power. I change the cook power. It's like, how'd you do that? That button right there says cook power, press it. 90, 80, 70, 60, 50. Yeah, it works. So if you want to change the power level, which is one of the greatest things because you don't want things to overcook sometimes. You don't want your butter to explode when you throw it in there to defrost. You can turn your power level down to 20% and it won't necessarily explode. Now, I'm not saying it won't always, but you're gonna have a better chance of your butter surviving when you're trying to soften it and half of it's liquid in the bottom, the other half is floating in it like a little boat. I mean, no one ever wants that. I mean, try to butter your toast with that. That's great. I mean, I'll just dump it on my bread and then the butter's all deformed after that. It looks like the Wicked Witch of the West after she got hit with water, down to the bottom, it's terrible. So you don't want that. So utilize that button because that is, and if you don't have it or don't know where it is, find it. Sometimes they hide them, but definitely use that button because that is probably the best button and the least used button on a microwave. Like I've said, great button to use. Find it, use it. If you have any questions, refer to your use and carry manual again, and it'll tell you what it is and what it does for you, but definitely use that on a microwave. Other than that, they're pretty much self-explanatory, but everybody has that setting, so use it. And then also, the bonus tip, if you have add-a-seconds, they work great too. It'll speed you along. If you're in a hurry, throw it in, press and hold the button for 2 seconds, you're done. So definitely utilize that function on your microwave because it is useful and it's very underutilized. Okay, let's move on to refrigerators. Everybody has pretty much every one of these, but people don't know what they're for. So let me tell you what they're for, and they're underutilized, but they're really useful. Okay, most refrigerators have a button on them now on the front, usually by the display, side by sides, bottom freezers. Typically, top mount refrigerators don't have it because they don't have many features anyway, but most refrigerators have it, say 99% have it. They have either a quick freeze or a quick chill button on there. Now, those buttons do 2 different things. The quick freeze is for the freezer, the quick chill is for the refrigerator. That is a button that you can press that will lower the temperature in the freezer compartment and the refrigerator compartment to quickly cool off items that you put in the refrigerator. Now you say, why would I want this? Well, this is for if you've gone to the grocery store, you're coming home, you got groceries, they've been out in the car, driving home from the grocery store, you want to put them in there and get them down to temperature quickly. You can press that button. What it actually does in reality is it lowers the temperature in that compartment by a couple degrees for a few hours, and then it goes back to that normal temperature. It just doesn't change the temperature on the display so you, the consumer, sees it, but that's what it does. So it will chill that stuff down to temperature so it's where it should be and will stay fresh in your refrigerator. So utilize those buttons because they're great buttons to use. Now, manufacturers, if you're watching this, stop doing this. It's so annoying. Okay, you're now making UI panels that are gray because they want to match this nice stainless steel. And then you make the buttons and display on them black. You get in a dark room, you can't see them. You have to shine a light on the refrigerator to see these buttons. And you have to say, you have this button on your refrigerator. I can't see it. Let me put a light on it for you. Oh, there it is. Stop doing it. Make it a high contrast so people can see it. You're going to help yourself out and make my life a lot easier because they're there. You have to just see them. So please stop doing it. Anyhow, off my soapbox. So utilize those features. They're great features. That also goes with the quick ice. Quick ice, if you have that function, it does the same thing. It lowers the temperature in the freezer for a period of time, helps the ice get cold faster, kicks out more ice. Utilize that button too. They're underutilized. People don't use them, don't see them. Definitely use them. They will make your life a lot better, and almost everyone has them on their refrigerator. Last but not least, let's talk about ranges. Ranges are kind of one of those weird subjects. I'll be straight up honest with you, because the manufacturers try to add so many unique features to the user interface control. They'll have buttons for like no bake lasagna or frozen lasagna. You press a lasagna button, or you can press this button. But not everybody has these features, and they're kind of unique, and they try to really make themselves different from the other manufacturers by the features they put on there. So it's really hard to pinpoint down a button that everybody has that they don't use, because everybody has a bake and a broil, and on most of the new ones they have convections of some type, convection bake and convection roast. But probably the least underutilized button on this is probably your broil button. Now, a lot of people don't use broil because they're unfamiliar with it. The broil basically just gets the top burner hot, or lights the top burner, or the top element gets hot, just to broil the top of the food. Now, it's very useful if you're melting cheese on things, where you don't want necessarily the bottom to continue to cook, but you want the top part just to melt the top stuff. It's a great feature for that, but that's probably the least and underutilized button is the broil button. Most of the time I go out to people's homes and their broil hasn't worked for years, or they say, gosh, my oven takes forever to preheat, because during the preheat process it uses the bake and the broil element, and they say, well, gosh, it takes forever for it to preheat. That's because their broil element's been out for years and they just didn't realize it because they don't very utilize it. So that is something that everybody has that you should utilize. And kind of my bonus thing for you convection users, and a lot of people have convection. I'd probably say convection has kind of taken the industry by storm. But if you have that feature on it, the convection roast is probably the most underutilized part of the convection features. People say, well, what's convection roast? Well, convection roast, unlike convection bake, where it uses the bake element mostly, and it recirculates the air inside the oven to bake things evenly, convection roast uses the bake and the broil element during the first part of the cooking process. So if you're doing meat like turkey or a roast or anything like that variety, it seals the meat, because it uses the bake and the broil element, so it seals it, gets the outside nice and caramelized, and then it stops using those elements for the most part. Depends if it has a ring element or not. If you're unsure what a ring element is, we've talked about in other videos, refer to our other videos, we've talked about convection specifically, but they have ring elements around them, and so it takes the heat just from the ring element and just recycles the heat around it. So you have all the juices that are sealed inside the meat, because it's nice and crispy on the outside. When you cut into it, it is perfect. So definitely, if you have that feature on your convection oven, use it, because it is fantastic. Guests will think that you learned how to cook when you just press the button. Pretty awesome. So anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know we've covered some stuff before, but I hope this has been informative for you. I hope you've learned a few things. Please subscribe. We really appreciate new subscribers and people that have been with us for a while. We enjoy that you're here. Please like and share with your friends. Refer to our other videos. We've got a lot of other videos out there that we got some great information on, so watch those videos. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.